story about the Yellow Diary band in a bit, if you could tell me about how it all came together.
Himanshu and Rajan met first for like a track, and then Himanshu and I have been friends for like a very long time, like
more than 15 years.
now.
25. Must be 20 now.
25. Till last release it was 20 now. But basically we've been friends for like quite some time now. So then he asked me that he's putting this band together, and then Stuart and I have been a part of a band before this. Harsh and I had been a part of the band. So then that's how like all these pieces kind of came together, because we were like, okay, now we want to make this thing like a proper live act. So then that's how we all, one after the other, kind of formed this band together.
It is said that, you know, the first song came out, Mars, and after that, you know, one person just, you know, was just making sure that everything goes on Twitter, you know, giving out to the right people and then reaching out, and then you got a great response on the first song itself. So when that happened, how did that felt like, you know, first song, the reach has been so good, people are appreciating the work so much?
It was awesome. I mean, for us, it wasn't so much about reach, more than like feedback. Numbers were not a thing for us then. It was more like, how are people liking the music? Because obviously, like you said, it's the first song. So when all these people were like responding in a positive manner to us, and they are all seasoned industry professionals, मतलब उन्होंने हजारों गाने सुने, you know, they've heard thousands of songs, they listen to music daily, they are musicians themselves. So when they actually said that, okay, the music is good and we think there's promise, it was like, yeah, we were over the moon actually. Yeah.
And how did you guys come up with the name, The Yellow Diary?
So the name actually comes from how the music is written. Because all the songs are written, they're either like personal stories or like stories of people you know, or they're just your thoughts and, you know, philosophies and kind of the stuff which you would go home and write in your personal journal, like a dear diary, XYZ. And that's where the diary part of it comes from. And yellow is basically just something we feel is a very mysterious color. It usually means happy, but it's got a very dark side to it also, you know. So just as the color yellow has a wide expanse of meanings from dark to bright, even our songs have that same expanse emotionally, from like, you know, sadder emotions to happy emotions and everything in between. So the Yellow Diary is different song, it's different pages of the diary essentially, it's different songs.
When we talk about indie music right now in our country and indie artists, independent artists or bands, the Yellow Diary is one of the first names that crosses any mind. So how is it like surviving as an indie band?
I think there are two ways to look at this. One is how do you survive this, and the other is there are times when you're so driven that survival is not how you look at it. You look at it as living, right? So if you're surviving as an indie band, then basically there is something lacking in terms of your drive. And if you're driven towards what you want to do, then the whole aspect of surviving kind of goes away. You find more ways to make things happen for you. Now, for example, like you said, there was somebody who was tweeting out to people and making things happen, and we were all like giving it our best. If you do that, you're not on that survival mode. Yeah, you're driven, and that opens up channels. And I think even in the independent scene, if you see people who are doing really good or people who are very driven, you'll see that at some point in their lives they will get to a point where you would know their names and they'd be doing well for themselves. Because I think that's the thing, that it's just a mental shift. One is surviving and the other is driving the journey out. You've seen those videos where you drop one card and then the whole line kind of starts falling, right? That's been the journey for us. It's been the first time we met, the first song we wrote, it was the first card falling, and then everything kept going on in the line, right, for us.
Domino effect.
Because domino effect, exactly. The fact is that you have to kind of push yourself towards what you want. And if you have the right kind of drive, things happen. They may happen with time, or they might just happen like right away. Everybody has their own clock. The idea of surviving with this will never take you far, because then what you will want is that your music gives it back to you instead of you giving it to your music, which eventually becomes the cycle. I think that's how you should look at it.
Now, when you guys are so famous, you have a fan following, when that comes to you, how does that feel like? Do you remember any incident that a fan came to and mentioned, this is what it is, and I feel so great that you guys are there, or this song is great? Any moment that you remember?
When we perform live, you kind of make eye contact with the first row, and you see these people that are just blissed out, and they're just like in the music, just like in it, and then you're like, man, this is why we do it, It's not really a specific reaction. It's when people sing our songs back to us at the shows. It's when they go into their happy place listening to our music. I feel like those are the reactions that we're kind of looking for. You know, that's what makes it worthwhile for us.
As a band, you've been doing great. Everybody knows you guys. But on the other side, individually also, you guys have been doing something or the other. Any one of you. How do you guys manage that? How does that balance?
I think priorities are very well set. We've been wanting to be the band that we are, and we want to reach a certain point in our lives and keep going forward, and that's a priority which is separate from everything else. And then because we have the capacity to create even more and find even more colors that that exist out there, we are kind of capable of managing all of that together because we know how to prioritize. And I think that is something that we've learned through the time that we've spent together, through this journey, the 7-8 years that we've spent, where we are now. There's a kind of maturity towards what we want to do and what makes us us and what gives us the satisfaction we want in life. And all of that kind of comes together and forms an answer for us.
I think it circles back a lot to Rajan's point of drive, honestly. Like when you want to make it happen, you'll make it happen. So whether it's difficult, whether there's like crazy amounts of time management, but eventually we all want to make it happen so badly that we make it happen.
There's no realization of where the time is going when you know what you want to do.
Yeah. Exactly.
There's no plan B.
Yeah, there's no plan B, exactly.
Yeah.
In a recent post on Instagram, I saw, I think you put it, Stuart put it, and about how you guys covered 100 shows in the country.
Well, actually, it's been more than 100. It was a 100 show with our sound engineer, actually.
So again, I think I have the same
It was
question.
his 100th show with us.
Yeah. Now, though, I think it's been at least like 20 shows since that celebration also.
Yeah,
with
because
this
that 100th show was the last show of 2022, I think.
Correct.
Of his.
Correct.
So
Correct.
yeah.
So, abhi tak how many shows have you guys
I think we've definitely played at least 25 shows since then, 25-30 shows.
And this is
Since
not counting
December.
the shows that we did with before Dev as well,
Yeah,
before our sound
exactly.
engineer came on as well. He's the only person who started counting. So then once he
Yeah,
started,
because he has a little Excel sheet. So he
So
was
you guys
like,
have an Excel sheet on how many
no,
shows
he
you're
does
doing?
of how many shows he's done.
But also we've done a lot of shows without him also when he's been busy and there's somebody else on sound for subbing for him.
So like
so there've been
200,
those kind
give
of
or
shows
take
also.
10, maybe.
it's hard being an independent band and touring and doing these things, but it's made much easier if you have a really good team around you. 100%. Our sound team is amazing, our live management team is amazing, our label is amazing. It makes it a little bit easier.
Individually, if I may ask, one by one, what has been the biggest inspiration that you have to do it? I know I love my music and I want to do it, but that there's this one thing that keeps the drive on.
So I mean, for me, it's these guys, very honestly. Yeah, I know. And when she asked that question, I was so glad that I'm first hai, तो मैं ये बोल दूँगा, मेरा हो जाएगा. No, but like jokes apart, like for me, it's definitely them. Because I mean, I have been playing my whole life, but like I've never really felt being a part of something bigger than myself, and that was this team, this group of friends that I have right now that I get to share the stage with and make songs with is my biggest source of inspiration.
My inspiration is these guys. Quite original. You can edit him out. But no, there's so much music all around. Like there's so many bands, there's so many artists that are doing exceptionally well, and just watching them makes you wanna push yourself further.
For me, it's how when you live your life with someone you love, essentially, and you have a very individual path also. But everything that happens to you, it's like, I can't wait to tell that person. This is what happened to me, this is what I've learned, or this is what I've experienced. For me, that's these guys. And that is like my life, my music. So whatever knowledge I pick up or whatever experiences I have, I want to share it with them constantly. And I feel like we all 5 of us have that relationship. And that finds itself into the music also. So as we live life, we are constantly inspired by each other, essentially. Eventually, तेरा ही answer बोल दिया मैंने.
There's a certain level of seriousness when we're making music, and then there's a certain level of camaraderie when we're not, and I feel like you can be an incredible musician, but if you don't have that wavelength to just hang out and be normal, or just not normal. I feel like we're far from that. But be yourself and just let your guards down and like be vulnerable with your crew. I feel like we have that, you know, and I feel like that's something that you can't get. We know a lot of musicians in the scene. No, I know name calling or anything, but not everyone is on the wavelength, you know, and it's good to find a vibe that everybody can just like sit into, get comfortable without even trying, you know.
Base fact is that we're not musicians writing music together. We're a family. Being family and music becomes a part of it. And I think that keeps like everything.
It's a family business.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a
HUF.
because that aspect of our relationship keeps everything so fresh. Writing music has never felt like, okay, this has been too much now. We've always been wanting to write because we've been living a life, right? Which has so many of like these different aspects happening in all of our lives that then keeps giving us so much content to then go back to the studio and like put to paper. And I think that kind of becomes the reason ultimately for us to keep meeting in the studio. I mean, because otherwise we anyway keep meeting. So the studio point becomes the release point. Okay, this is what we've lived and this is the culmination of it.
As a band, which band do you guys look forward? Any band that, you know, oh my god, say for instance Coldplay or something like that you guys like, or you know, an inspiration?
Not refer for sure. We don't refer to anybody because I think as a very big aspect of our writing, we consciously believe that every song should be treated the way the song deserves to be treated, and not as what we find cool out there in the world. That's what I think allows you to create new sonic identities. Apart from that, I think there are so many musicians in the world, so many musicians in the world that we listen to and we like and we share like the music with each other. So I mean the list would never end for sure. But reference-wise, I don't think we refer to anybody per se.
Yeah. What are you listening to right now?
I'm listening to Tony Williams, yeah.
Tony
वो बैंड्रा चर्च के बाहर गए from Chivam village. I'm listening to Tony Williams. He's a drummer. I'm listening to a lot of this.
I'm listening to Ahmad Jamal, who passed away recently.
So you listen
He's
to
a jazz pianist.
I'm in that phase where I'm really enjoying Harry Styles' music. So like
I think I've been listening to a lot of Jacob Collier.
Nice.
Yeah. That Erase Me song particularly.
Yeah, it's great. I've been listening to a lot of Daniel Caesar. Very tasty.
What is the future plan like? Are you guys planning to, you know, sing for films or something like that?
back in the day, we used to get this question a lot, that what do you think about Bollywood and what do you think of Hindi cinema and stuff like that, and do you want to be a part of it? And we always said that we want to take up opportunities that benefit us or benefits the music per se. So the whole idea of working in movies has already happened because Majama had Bunyad in it. So I think the idea is to just keep creating music, and if it fits a certain script a certain way, we'd be really happy to kind of...
I think like the idea is to stay true to ourselves as artists, honestly. Like going forward, keep putting out our music, keep doing our live shows, and like stay true to what the Yellow Diary represents. And then any opportunities that present themselves that allow us to stay true to ourselves, whether it's films or anything of that sort, we're more than happy to take it up.
Yeah, we very recently also did a OTT series, and there was a song called Behjana in it. And the best part about the whole project was that the director called us and he said, I want a TYD song.
Yeah.
And I think that says a lot about our standing in terms of how we want to kind of go about this.
Yeah, it wasn't like ऐसा type का बना लो ऐसा. It was just like तुम लोग जैसे बनाते हो वैसा.
Subscribe to Midday India. Get direct notifications on all our videos by clicking on the bell icon.